So we're going to give you an overview of it, aimed at so that you've got an understanding of where it came from and its basic principles, but also how you can get started. Because I was chatting to Elizabeth earlier on, it's very easy to get stuck in the theory of this, people's theoretical ponderings, and they start talking about this is happening on the astral and this is happening on the etheric, and it's extraordinarily confusing. And as was said to me many times, the most important principle is get the preparations out on the soil and your growing area so they can work, and then observe what happens. So firstly, you start with your intention that you're going to work with the land in a more appropriate way, and then try and find encouragement and support from others who have some biodynamic experience. Now, there's all sorts of books and there's a few videos and things, and that's great, but actually learning directly from someone or going to an actual field day or a workshop is a really good way to get a handle on this. And most of those workshops they'll talk a little bit about the sort of the theory, but in the course of a day, they'll then get you to make a compost heap and to stir some of the preparations and put it out on a piece of land. So it's not just someone talking about a whole lot of esoteric theory all day. You get put into practice pretty much straight away. So the first thing is, with these preparations, they're mixed with water and then put out. And it's not just that you dilute it in the water and spray it out or flick it out or whatever. You need to stir the preparations into the water. And there's a whole number of reasons why. And in some ways, this is almost like agricultural homeopathy. And you can see in the picture there, that's a very decorative set of flow forms, which are like molded either concrete or fiberglass form that shape the water so that it forms these vortices and patterns both to the left, to the right. So it's like it's mixing around like it's in little whirlpools, as it would be in nature in a stream. So why do we mix traps in the water? So firstly, we don't use a large amount of the preparations, and we're using the water to get a volume of material so that you can spread it out over your area. You know, whether you're a farmer with 1,000 acres or you've got a back garden or something like that, you still use water to get a volume of material to spray out. And of course, you use water highest quality you can. Rainwater is lovely. You can use dam water. If you're using town tap water, then you would let it sit for a while so that the chlorine would dissipate. And you rhythmically stir the water. So that does a number of things. So the stirring process, and it goes through a pattern of stirring one way to create a vortice. So stir to the left, and you get a vortex pattern in the water. You then start stirring to the opposite direction, so stir to the right. That collapses the vortex and introduces chaos. So that creating a vortex, counter stirring it, creating chaos, creating another vortex, that neutralizes any imprinting of the water. Now, water is a medium that will take on the influence of substances, which is part of the reasoning behind homeopathy that we've covered. They use water as an imprint, or sometimes they'll use sugar as an imprinting substance. And so the water is the dispersal medium, and also, of course, the stirring oxygenates the water and mixes everything together. And it's quite interesting, the 500 and the 501, if you're just putting those out, so the horn manure and the horn silica, you stir those for an hour. Now, when you stir them, you're stirring away, and you think, you know, what the hell is happening here? You know, why an hour? Well, the funniest thing happens. When you get to the half-hour mark, the nature of the water changes. The viscosity of the water changes. It becomes slippery, and it becomes harder to actually create a vortex. You've got to stir much more vigorously to get that vortex in the water. So there is an actual change in the nature of the water during the stirring process. And of course, it's like a homeopathic process where you potentize the preparations into the water.